Do you want to produce a passing edTPA portfolio while still keeping a social life? Stay tuned for my top tips on how to get organized before you start your edTPA. My first tip is to start with a realistic goal. When I was preparing my edTPA, I looked at all my rubrics in my handbook, which, if you haven't done that, by the way, you really need to. Each rubric scores you on a scale of 1 through 5. So looking at that, I decided to set my goal for a 70. That was really lofty. The passing score in my state, in Georgia, is a 45. I ended up passing with a 56, which I'm really proud of. I had several 4s, a lot of 3s, and 1 2, which, if you'd like to know what I think I could have done better on, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make a video about that in the future. Next tip is to plan with the end in mind. So I knew I needed my scores back by the end of April so that I could get a job. Knowing that, I went onto the edTPA.com site to see what their submission dates were. I chose a date at the beginning of April. That way, I knew that I had time to get everything edited and submitted, and in 2 weeks get my scores back while still having time to interview for jobs. Knowing what my end date was made it a lot easier to plan, starting with that date in mind. I even created my own planning calendar starting backwards, which I've linked down below if you would like one for free. My next tip is to start with your weakest area first. So I did this so that I knew I had enough time to practice the things that I wasn't as great at. So let's say planning is not your strong suit. Give yourself 3 or 4 weeks to create your lesson plan so that you can practice it and then go over it. That way you know exactly what you're going to say and exactly how you're going to engage your students. My 4th tip is to create a checklist based on your rubrics. So each task, 1 through 3, which is planning, instruction, and assessment, come with a set of rubrics. If you're lucky and you're doing early childhood like I did, then you have a 4th rubric on just math practices. But we're going to stick with rubrics 1 through 3 for the sake of this video. Look at your rubrics. Break them down. They tell you exactly what the scores are looking for. So use that to create your checklist. That way when you're planning, teaching, and assessing, you know exactly what you need to hit to get a 3, 4, or even a 5. Finally, set aside editing time. You really don't want to skip this step. There's a lot to write, like a lot. Pages and pages of assessing yourself and your practices. So make sure that you have enough time to edit everything that you've written. You want to make sure that what you're saying is clear to your scores, and you want to make sure that there aren't any grammar or spelling mistakes. They don't count off for them, but it really doesn't look good if you're submitting a teacher portfolio with a lot of grammatical errors. You also want to make sure that everything you're using as evidence is mentioned in your analysis. So give yourself plenty of time to go through and check for all the details that you're going to need to get a great score on your portfolio. And there you go, 5 simple tips for you to use so that you can start your edTPA portfolio while keeping a social life. Down below, I've linked the backwards planning guide that I used to create my portfolio. Also, I'm working on a video going through that backwards planning guide. So if that's something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. And also let me know if you want to go over my scores so that we can talk about why I think I made a 2 in one of the areas. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video if you would like some more educational content. Also, follow me on Instagram at InspireTeachGrow or on Pinterest at InspireTeachGrow. I look forward to talking to you soon.